The soft glow of candlelight bathed the bistro in warmth, champagne flutes chimed like delicate promises, and laughter danced through the air, but it was all a lie. A beautifully orchestrated illusion. Tonight marked our 10th wedding anniversary, a night I had poured my heart into, a tribute to 10 years of loyalty, love, and shared dreams. Leo sat across from me, the man I once trusted more than anyone. His smile was tight, his eyes elsewhere, not lost in nostalgia, but in guilt. As the waiter placed our creme brulee on the table, its caramelized top gleaming like stained glass under the flickering flame, my phone buzzed. One photo. One damning image. A diamond necklace, bold, extravagant, unmistakably new, draped around the neck of Serena Vance. His boss. And now, clearly, his mistress. The betrayal didn't come as a whisper. It came as a thunderclap. The breath left my lungs. My hands went cold. He hadn't just been unfaithful, he had chosen this night, our night, to parade it. To spit on everything we'd built. But I didn't cry. I didn't tremble. I stared into the flame and felt something stronger than heartbreak rise inside me, a fury sharp enough to cut diamonds. He had stolen a decade from me. Now, I would take back what mattered to him. Before I take you deeper into my story, drop a comment with where you're watching from, and if you've ever faced betrayal and refused to stay broken, hit that like and subscribe. Your strength inspires every chapter one tell. My name is Harper, and for the past 10 years, my life with Leo had been a carefully constructed symphony of ambition, shared dreams, and quiet contentment. I'm 36 years old, a senior acquisitions manager at a global tech firm in San Francisco, a city whose vibrant energy and relentless innovation mirrored my own drive. My days began precisely at 5:30 a.m., with the gentle alarm on my phone ushering in the pre-dawn stillness. I'd slip out of bed, careful not to disturb Leo, my husband, whose schedule as a rising star at Vance Innovations, a venture capital firm, was often unpredictable. The ritual was sacred, a quiet moment with a freshly brewed cup of artisanal pour-over coffee, its complex aroma a comforting anchor in the morning haze, while I meticulously reviewed market trends and drafted strategic acquisition proposals in my journal. My work was my passion. I thrived on the high-stakes negotiations, the intellectual chess match of identifying undervalued companies, the creative challenge of structuring deals that transformed abstract potential into tangible growth. The hum of the corporate office, the focused energy of my colleagues, the rapid-fire buzz of collaboration, it was all a vital part of who I was. I found a profound sense of purpose in connecting visionary startups with the resources they needed to reshape industries. Leo and I had met in business school at Stanford, two ambitious idealists navigating the demanding curriculum and the competitive landscape of Silicon Valley. He was charismatic, with a quick wit and an uncanny ability to charm anyone he met. I was drawn to his boundless optimism, his infectious laugh, and the way his eyes sparkled when he talked about disrupting traditional markets. Our relationship grew organically, rooted in shared intellectual curiosity and a mutual respect for each other's entrepreneurial spirit. After graduation, we moved into a charming Victorian house in No Valley, a space we slowly and lovingly renovated ourselves, blending its historical charm with modern, minimalist aesthetics. We spent our weekends hiking the winding trails of Marin Headlands, the salty air invigorating our lungs, or exploring new wineries in Napa Valley, the golden sunlight warming our faces. Sometimes, we'd just curl up on the sofa, sharing a bottle of local Cabernet while discussing our latest deals, debating the future of tech, or getting lost in a thought-provoking documentary. We talked about building a life together, a life rich in experiences rather than excessive possessions. We envisioned a future where we could travel extensively, perhaps establish our own investment fund someday, a fund dedicated to ethical and sustainable innovation. We were diligent savers, meticulously setting aside a significant portion of each paycheck into a joint investment account, watching it grow with a shared sense of accomplishment and anticipation. That account, affectionately dubbed our legacy fund, represented everything we were building: our freedom, our security, our shared aspirations, a foundation for the thriving future we envisioned. Our evenings were a cherished sanctuary from the relentless demands of our respective careers. Leo, often immersed in intricate financial models and high-pressure pitches, found genuine joy in the simple rhythm of our home life. We'd take turns cooking, his adventurous culinary experiments often contrasting with my more traditional, comforting dishes. The rhythmic chop of vegetables, the sizzling of olive oil in the pan, the gentle clatter of ceramic plates, and the easy banter flowing between us, these were the small, precious moments that intricately wove the fabric of our everyday. We'd curl up on the plush sofa, sharing a bottle of fine wine while discussing our day, debating the latest market trends, or getting lost in a thought-provoking documentary about global economies. He was my sounding board, my gentle critic, the one who saw beyond my professional facade to the sensitive, sometimes vulnerable, woman beneath. I trusted him implicitly, believed in our partnership, in the unspoken vows we had made through countless shared moments of laughter and quiet understanding. My dedication to my work was partly for our collective future, for the financial security that my working-class parents had always emphasized as the bedrock of a stable life, a stark contrast to the financial struggles they had faced. But it was also fueled by a quiet, unwavering ambition, a deep-seated desire to prove my own worth, not to Leo, who always seemed to accept me as I was, flaws and all, but to myself, to the silent voice deep within that sometimes questioned if I was truly enough, if I truly measured up to the high standards I set for myself in a competitive world. We were a team, a quiet force against the world, building our future, brick by painstaking brick, a testament to our enduring partnership. I truly believed we were building something beautiful and lasting together. The first subtle shifts began almost imperceptibly, like tiny, hairline cracks forming in the elegant facade of a seemingly solid structure. It started around 14 months ago, so subtle that I dismissed them as stress, perhaps a new, more demanding phase in Leo's ever-accelerating career advance innovations, or even just my own innate tendency to analyze and overthink everything. Leo, usually so transparent about his work, eager to share a new investment lead or a particularly challenging pitch he'd overcome, began to become more guarded. When I'd inquire about his day, he'd offer vague, dismissive answers, sometimes even a flicker of irritation crossing his face. "Just busy, Harper. It's complex. You wouldn't understand the nuances of venture capital." The clarity I craved was replaced by frustrating evasiveness. His phone, once habitually left carelessly on the kitchen counter or tossed onto the sofa cushion during our evenings, began to accompany him everywhere, a constant, almost obsessive presence in his hand. He'd check it furtively, a quick glance and then a swift return to his pocket, or he'd turn the screen away from me whenever a notification popped up, a subtle but distinct shift in his behavior. The chime of an incoming text message, once a harmless notification, now sent a tiny, almost imperceptible shiver down my spine, a whisper of unease I couldn't quite shake, a discordant note in our otherwise harmonious routine. He started working late more frequently, not just the usual predictable client dinners or fundraising deadlines that I understood and respected, but spontaneous, almost frantic bursts of inspiration that kept him out until the early hours of the morning, leaving me alone in the quiet house with my growing anxieties. He'd offer flimsy excuses about last-minute investor calls or unexpected pitch revisions, explanations that, to my analytical mind, felt just a little too convenient, a little too rehearsed, lacking the genuine details he used to share. And then there was the physical distance that started to creep into our intimacy. He'd become less affectionate, less present, his touch fleeting, his gaze often distant, lost in thoughts he wouldn't share with me. When I'd try to bridge the gap, to pull him closer, to rekindle the spark that once burned so brightly, he'd invent a sudden headache, a pressing work problem he needed to solve, or simply drift off to sleep, leaving me staring at the ceiling, the chasm between us widening with every unspoken word, every unanswered question. Then came the new, jarring habits. He began to pay obsessive attention to his appearance, far beyond his usual professional polish. New, expensive suits appeared in his closet, tailored with a precision that hinted at a bespoke origin. A new, sophisticated cologne, a scent of jasmine and something vaguely aquatic, subtly replaced his usual woodsy fragrance, clinging to his shirts even after they'd been washed. He'd occasionally come home with a faint, sweet floral scent on his clothes, like lilies or roses, which he'd attribute to a client's perfume or a restaurant centerpiece. My questions about these new indulgences were met with increasing defensiveness, even anger. "Are you auditing my wardrobe now, Harper? Do you not trust my judgment on professional attire?" His accusations stung, pushing me back, making me question my own intuition, making me feel like the jealous, unreasonable wife. I tried to rationalize it away, telling myself it was just the stress of his accelerating career, or perhaps a new, demanding corporate culture advance innovations. But the nagging feeling persisted, a dull ache beneath the gilded surface of my otherwise ordered life, a persistent dissonance in our seemingly perfect harmony. The mini-climax, the first undeniable, agonizing crack in the foundation of my meticulously constructed reality, came on a rainy Tuesday morning, just a few weeks ago. I was working from home, nursing a persistent, dull headache that mirrored the ache in my heart, trying to focus on a complex acquisition model, when Liam's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. He had, for once, left it unattended while he stepped out to grab coffee. It was a text message, flashing briefly on the lock screen, a name instantly catching my eye, Serena Vance. His boss. My stomach clenched. Then, beneath her name, a snippet of the message, "Can't wait for our anniversary celebration tonight." My breath hitched in my throat, a cold, sharp intake of air that felt like shattered glass. Anniversary. Our anniversary was tonight. Our 10th. A cold dread, far more chilling than any San Francisco fog, seeped into my veins, paralyzing me. I clicked on the message, my fingers trembling so violently I almost missed the cursor. The full text message read, "Can't wait for our anniversary celebration tonight, darling. That necklace will look stunning on you. See you at the bistro at 8. My heart slammed against my ribs, a frantic, desperate bird trapped in a cage. Necklace. The one he'd told me he was getting me for our anniversary. A small, elegant pearl pendant, he'd said. The world tilted violently on its axis. The familiar, comforting hum of the refrigerator, the gentle, rhythmic ticking of the antique clock in the hall, all became deafening, oppressive. A wave of nausea rose from deep within me, bitter and metallic, filling my mouth. My analytical mind, usually so adept at dissecting complex data and identifying precise patterns, struggled, desperately, to make sense of this new, horrifying input. It was a betrayal, stark, undeniable, and brutally laid bare in a single, damning text message. Every subtle sign I had observed, every late night, every lingering floral scent, every inexplicable argument, every new, expensive suit, they all clicked, sickeningly, into place, forming a coherent, agonizing picture of calculated deceit. The quiet, grounded life I had so carefully, painstakingly built, was not just cold, it was crumbling into dust around me. The shock was a physical blow, a cold, hard knot tightening excruciatingly in my stomach until I thought I might vomit. The anger came next, a white-hot flash that threatened to consume every fiber of my being, leaving only scorched earth in its wake. But beneath it all was a profound, aching pain, a deep, gaping wound inflicted by the knowledge that the person I had loved, trusted implicitly, and built my entire future with, was capable of such cold, calculated cruelty. 10 years. 10 years of building a life together, of trusting without question, of sacrificing my own desires for our shared future, for our future children, all for this? To be replaced by a secret life with his boss, a woman whose public image was synonymous with ruthlessness and ambition, a betrayal that intertwined both the personal and the professional. my mind reeled, a whirlwind of shattered memories and agonizing questions. The urge to confront him, to scream until my throat was raw, to shatter the illusion immediately, to watch his composure crack and crumble, to inflict a fraction of the pain he had caused, was almost unbearable. But something, a flicker of something stronger, a quiet, almost imperceptible voice from the deepest part of my being, stopped me. Perhaps it was the deeply ingrained acquisitions manager in me, the one who understood that a flawed negotiation strategy could lead to catastrophic losses, and that a problem must be fully understood, all data points gathered, before any effective countermove could begin. Or perhaps it was a primal self-preservation instinct, the quiet, insistent knowledge that I needed to protect myself from further, more devastating harm, from the public humiliation that such an outburst might bring. I would not give him the satisfaction of seeing me break, of seeing me reduced to a weeping, pathetic victim. I didn't confront Leo that morning, or the next. Instead, I moved through our shared Victorian house like a ghost, each familiar object a stark, mocking reminder of the insidious lie. The meticulously renovated kitchen, now a symbol of his deceptive culinary experiments. The lingering scent of his new jasmine cologne, now infused with the bitter tang of betrayal. The small, framed photo of us smiling on a cliff overlooking the Pacific, our faces blissfully unaware of the cracks already forming beneath the surface, the betrayal lurking just beneath the waves. Each detail twisted the knife in my gut, a slow, agonizing turn, deepening the wound. I spent agonizing, sleepless hours poring over old bank statements, meticulously checking every line item on credit card bills, desperately searching for any other hidden anomalies, any other proof that this wasn't just a fleeting mistake, a one-time lapse in judgment. Nothing immediately jumped out as overtly suspicious beyond the initial diamond necklace purchase and the anniversary dinner reservation, but the very act of searching, of doubting, corroded the last remnants of my trust, leaving a hollow ache where confidence once resided. He had been so meticulous, so careful in his deception, or perhaps this truly was his first real, undeniable slip, a fatal flaw born of his hubris. The thought sent a fresh wave of bitter nausea through me. My life, my future, everything I had invested, was irrevocably tied to this man, and he was capable of this level of cold, calculated deception, not just personally, but professionally, intertwining their lives. The realization was devastating, a weight pressing down on my chest until it was almost impossible to breathe, stifling me in my own home, in my own skin. The internal struggle was immense, a silent war raging within my own mind, each thought a battle, each emotion a landmine. Should I demand answers, demand an explanation, demand remorse? Should I beg him to explain, to offer some semblance of hope for reconciliation, however faint? Or should I just pack a single bag, sever all ties, and disappear into the anonymity of the city, sparing myself further humiliation and heartbreak, opting for the coward's way out? The victim mentality, an insidious whisper from years of trying to please others, of putting their needs before my own, of prioritizing a false harmony above the brutal truth, tugged at me, urging me towards passive resignation. But then, a different voice, a more resolute, unyielding presence, emerged from the depths of my being, quiet at first, then growing stronger, louder, until it drowned out the whispers of self-doubt. It was the voice of the acquisitions manager who understood the criticality of due diligence, the woman who had built her career from scratch, navigating complex, high-stakes financial markets with quiet confidence and unshakable resolve. The woman who had always found a way to turn chaos into order, to transform messy, disparate data into clean, actionable insights, a strategic advantage. This wasn't just about me anymore, this was about reclaiming my agency, about demanding justice, about righting a profound, systemic wrong that threatened to undermine everything I had built. I decided then, in the quiet, desolate solitude of our living room, bathed in the pale glow of the street lights filtering through the bay window, that I would not be a victim. I would not beg for his affection or his remorse. I would not disappear into the shadows. I would act, purposefully, intelligently, and strategically. The betrayal was real, the pain profound, a deep, festering wound, but my resolve hardened, crystallizing into a steel-like certainty, an unyielding core. I would not just survive this, I would redefine my life, not on his terms, but on my own, fiercely independent terms. The decision felt like a first breath after years of suffocating under the weight of unspoken expectations and unacknowledged sacrifices, a quiet, almost imperceptible shift from debilitating vulnerability to fierce, unyielding determination. It was a silent revolution, beginning within the confines of my own heart, spreading outwards with every calculated thought. The crucial turning point wasn't a single explosive moment, but a meticulously choreographed series of calculated, deliberate steps that felt both terrifying and profoundly liberating. First, I discreetly secured comprehensive digital copies of all our joint financial documents, pulling every single bank statement, every detailed investment portfolio, every property deed, into a highly secure, encrypted cloud drive. My acquisitions manager's eye for detail, usually deployed for the meticulous precision of complex deal structures and due diligence, was now my most powerful, clandestine weapon. I meticulously combed through years of transactions, cross-referencing figures, scrutinizing every single line item, every minor transfer. I found the glaring evidence: a series of luxury purchases, high-end restaurant bills, and exclusive travel bookings, all made on Leo's private card but paid for by significant, unexplained transfers from our joint legacy fund. The amounts were staggering, far beyond what his personal income alone could support. This was his pattern, his method of betrayal. I also discovered a significant, undisclosed investment in a new luxury jewelry brand. This was not just a purchase, it was a substantial financial stake. My research revealed that Serena Vance, his boss, was listed as a co-founder and major investor in this very brand. The realization hit me: the diamond necklace was not just a gift, it was a symbolic investment in their shared, illicit venture. The digital trail was undeniable, irrefutable, a damning testament to my analytical precision and his shocking, contemptuous carelessness. My next call was to Eleanor Vance, my trusted financial planner and a woman whose discretion was as legendary as her expertise. I presented her with the raw data, the bank statements, the hidden investment details, and the full story of betrayal. She listened intently, her expression hardening with each revelation, then simply said, "Harper, this isn't just a divorce, it's a full-scale corporate hostile takeover of your personal life. We're going to respond in kind." Within days, my substantial personal savings were quietly moved to new, separate, untraceable accounts. Individual investment portfolios were established solely in my name, and my name was efficiently, irrevocably removed from all joint credit cards and loans. This subtle financial detachment was the first invisible blow, a silent, yet seismic, declaration of war he wouldn't even perceive until it was too late. The legal framework was also meticulously set in motion. Through Eleanor's extensive connections in the high-stakes legal world, I secured a consultation with a top-tier divorce attorney, a formidable, no-nonsense woman specializing in complex financial cases and corporate disputes. Her name was Anya Sharma, and after reviewing my meticulously prepared documentation, including the evidence of financial malfeasance and Serena Vance's direct involvement in the secret jewelry venture, she smiled thinly, a chilling glint in her sharp eyes, and stated, "Ms. Hayes, we will not just win, we will utterly redefine the term equitable distribution in this city and beyond. And we will ensure his professional integrity is questioned where it matters most." The phrase resonated deeply with me, not with a thirst for raw, emotional vengeance, but with a profound, unshakable desire for justice, for balance, for a fair, unequivocal reckoning based on undeniable, irrefutable proof. I also discovered a clause in our marriage prenuptial agreement, which Liam, in his youthful arrogance, had insisted upon. It stated that any significant financial gains from an undisclosed business venture, initiated during the marriage by one party without the full knowledge and written consent of the other, would be subject to a punitive 75% distribution to the wronged party in the event of a divorce. He had signed it, never imagining it would apply to him. This pivotal plot twist, a hidden asset in my favor, now shifted the power irrevocably. The game had changed. The unfolding of my secret plans began with chilling precision, a series of strategic maneuvers executed with the calm rationality of a seasoned acquisitions manager. While Leo was still basking in the glow of his supposed triumphant anniversary dinner with Serena, oblivious and arrogant in his self-made illusion of freedom, I was systematically dismantling his meticulously constructed deception, brick by insidious, invisible brick. My first move, meticulously guided by Brenda, the forensic accountant, was to initiate a quiet, yet ruthlessly thorough, forensic audit of all our joint accounts stretching back 5 years. We uncovered a chilling, consistent pattern of small, regular, almost imperceptible withdrawals from our shared legacy fund, the very funds we had patiently accumulated for our future together, for our dream home, for our children. These funds were systematically rerouted, a digital breadcrumb trail leading directly to a newly established, clandestine business account under Leo's name, then swiftly transferred to various high-end vendors for Serena's luxury purchases, her lavish lifestyle, and their secret travel. The individual sums weren't astronomical on their own, deliberately designed to evade immediate detection, but cumulatively, they amounted to nearly $500,000, precisely the exact initial investment and operational costs for Serena's new jewelry brand, Luxe Gem, explicitly mentioned in his damning personal financial projections. The digital trail was undeniable, irrefutable, a damning testament to my analytical precision and his shocking, contemptuous carelessness. Next, I worked in seamless, silent coordination with Eleanor, my financial planner, to implement a swift and decisive freeze on all remaining joint accounts. The official reason cited was unusual activity flagged by the bank's automated fraud detection system, a convenient, legitimate cover for my deliberate, strategic actions. This was a critical preemptive strike, ensuring he couldn't access further funds, divert more assets, or attempt to hide his illicit gains once my carefully planned actions became unequivocally clear. The legal framework was also meticulously set in motion. Through Brenda's extensive connections in the high-stakes legal world, I secured a consultation with Anya Sharma, a formidable, no-nonsense divorce attorney specializing in complex financial cases. Her reputation for ruthless efficiency, unwavering integrity, and a near-perfect track record was legendary, and after reviewing Brenda's comprehensive audit report, complete with all supporting documents, Anya smiled thinly, a chilling glint in her sharp eyes, and stated, "Ms. Hayes, we will not just win, we will utterly redefine the term equitable distribution in this city and beyond. And we will ensure his professional integrity is questioned where it matters most, in the very boardrooms he seeks to conquer." The phrase resonated deeply with me, not with a thirst for raw, emotional vengeance, but with a profound, unshakable desire for justice, for balance, for a fair, unequivocal reckoning based on undeniable, irrefutable proof. I also informed Anya about the clause in our marriage prenuptial agreement regarding undisclosed business ventures, and her smile widened. This was his downfall, signed by his own arrogant hand. My discreet, yet potent, plans also extended strategically to Leo's professional sphere. I sent a series of anonymous, meticulously crafted emails to key industry contacts within his tight-knit venture capital world, to the board members of Vance Innovations, and even to a prominent financial blogger known for uncovering corporate scandals. These emails subtly hinted at grave ethical concerns regarding Serena Vance's new luxury jewelry brand, Luxe Gem, and its questionable seed funding, citing potential intellectual property issues, undisclosed conflicts of interest, and the highly unusual source of its initial capital. Crucially, there were no direct accusations against Leo, no inflammatory language, just enough precise, verifiable information to spark immediate, intense curiosity and, more importantly, trigger thorough due diligence. I attached carefully excerpted portions from his secret financial projections, altered slightly to remove any direct link to me but retaining the core incriminating details of his financial support for Lux Gem. The ripples began almost immediately, a subtle tremor through his professional network that quickly escalated into a full-blown earthquake. Within mere days, I heard whispers of due diligence issues and unusual funding anomalies circulating ominously through the venture capital community. A major institutional investor, one Liam had been ardently courting for months for a critical project Advance Innovations, suddenly and inexplicably pulled out of a preliminary funding meeting with Liam, citing unforeseen internal policy changes and severe concerns about undisclosed liabilities and ethical practices. The ground was inexorably shifting beneath his feet, his carefully constructed career beginning to buckle, and he, in his self-absorbed arrogance, had absolutely no idea why. The quiet elegance of the entire plan lay in its surgical precision, a series of precisely timed, calculated moves designed not to destroy him in one explosive moment, but to systematically, inevitably, unravel his intricate web of deception from the inside out, piece by agonizing piece, ensuring that his eventual downfall felt not like my vengeful doing, but like the organic, unavoidable consequence of his own egregious, self-serving choices. The silence from Serena Vance was perhaps the most telling. Her name, once ubiquitous in Leo's conversations, now never passed his lips. The aftermath arrived not with the deafening bang of an explosion, but with a chilling, prolonged series of bewildered, then increasingly desperate, phone calls and emails from Leo, painting a vivid, satisfying picture of his crumbling world. The first frantic call was from Liam, just a few days after he returned from what he probably thought was a triumphantly successful, romantic getaway. His voice, usually so smooth and confident, was now laced with raw confusion, a hint of nascent panic, and a thinly veiled accusation. "Harper, what in God's name is going on with the joint account? The bank just called me, told me it's frozen due to suspicious activity. Did you do something? Is this your doing?" My response, delivered with an icy calm that surprised even myself, was measured, precise, and utterly devoid of any emotion. "Liam, after 10 years of shared finances, and in light of recent, disturbing discoveries, I'm simply ensuring my personal assets are protected. Your recent business trip to Tulum, Mexico, and your rather extensive secret life plan with your creative partner, Serena, and your undisclosed investment in Lux Gem, suggested a definitive need for extreme caution on my part. My financial analyst background necessitates such meticulous due diligence, you understand." The silence on the other end was absolute, a profound, suffocating void, broken only by his sputtered, disbelieving, "Tulum? Serena? Lux Gem? What are you talking about? You're insane." The denial was pathetic, utterly transparent, but the quiet, profound satisfaction that coursed through me was immense, a bittersweet taste of undeniable justice. The subsequent communications from Liam escalated quickly, morphing into a volatile mix of seething anger, aggressive bluster, and thinly veiled threats. He accused me of hacking his accounts, of fabricating evidence, of being a cold, calculating witch who had meticulously planned his ruin out of spite and jealousy. His lawyer's letters, initially brimming with aggressive demands for immediate access to frozen funds and threatening legal action for defamation and financial interference, soon changed tone dramatically as Anya Sharma's firm responded. My attorney's counter-filings were swift, professional, and devastatingly factual, leaving no room for doubt or argument. They systematically presented the comprehensive forensic audit report, detailing every suspicious transaction, the meticulously documented transfers of shared funds to his secret business account, the incriminating life plan with Serena's name clearly listed as his business partner in Lux Gem, and the irrefutable evidence of him systematically draining our joint investment account, our shared future, our dreams of having children and building a sustainable life, to fund his illicit double life. And Serena's luxury brand. the impact was immediate and chillingly effective. The aggressive demand ceased abruptly, replaced by a defensive, then increasingly desperate, silence from his legal team as the weight of the evidence crushed their bravado. The consequences for Liam were swift, brutal, and multifaceted, a carefully orchestrated cascade of repercussions that perfectly mirrored the intricate web of betrayal he had woven. His secret luxury jewelry venture, Lux Gem, exposed to potential investors and key industry contacts through my anonymous, yet highly targeted, information leaks and the subsequent media scrutiny, quickly imploded before it even had a chance to gain significant traction. The whispers I had initiated, once subtle, rapidly morphed into widespread public scandal, fueled by his desperate, increasingly frantic attempts to secure new funding against a backdrop of mounting financial and ethical questions. His once respected professional reputation, meticulously built over years in the cutthroat venture capital world, began to fray at the edges, then rapidly unraveled, leaving him exposed and vulnerable. I heard through mutual acquaintances in the tech world that several of his most lucrative freelance clients had quietly, but decisively, terminated their contracts, citing vague unforeseen complications and alignment issues with his firm's ethical standards. His professional network, once robust and extensive, now seemed to shrink with alarming speed, as former colleagues and collaborators distanced themselves from his growing scandal, fearing contagion. His personal life also spectacularly unraveled. Serena Vance, apparently far less interested in a creative partner who was now facing imminent legal battles, financial ruin, and public exposure, quickly dissolved their partnership and vanished from the scene, leaving him utterly alone, stripped bare of his illusions. The elegant deception he had so carefully constructed, the illusion of a perfect parallel life and a thriving new business, collapsed entirely under the crushing weight of its own lies, leaving him with nothing but a ruined reputation, systematically frozen accounts, a mountain of mounting legal fees, and the bitter taste of public humiliation. It was a downfall of his own making, orchestrated not by my direct hand, but by the relentless, unforgiving exposure of his deceit, a poetic justice that felt profoundly satisfying. For me, the journey was far from easy, despite the profound satisfaction of justice. The emotional toll of the deep, prolonged betrayal, the public and often messy nature of the divorce proceedings, and the constant, draining legal back and forth left me emotionally depleted, physically exhausted, and psychologically vulnerable. There were countless nights when I cried until my eyes were swollen and raw, tears of grief not just for the lost relationship, but for the shattered illusion of a shared future, for the children who would never be, for the years of unwavering trust that had been irrevocably broken. There were days when the exhaustion was so profound I could barely pull myself out of bed, battling a heavy, suffocating fog of despair that clung to me like a shroud. Yet, my support system, a small but fiercely loyal circle of friends and colleagues, rallied around me, a beacon in the darkness. They brought comforting meals, offered endless hours of patient listening, and provided unwavering encouragement, constantly reminding me of my inherent strength, of the formidable woman I was becoming. My therapist, a kind and insightful woman named Dr. Chen, became an invaluable guide, helping me navigate the complex, often turbulent currents of grief, anger, and, eventually, profound resilience. "You're not just surviving, Harper," she told me during one particularly challenging session, her voice gentle yet firm, "you're actively reclaiming yourself, piece by painful, courageous piece. You are rebuilding your foundation, stronger, more authentic, and more beautiful than ever before, forged in the crucible of this fire." Her words resonated deeply, a quiet, powerful affirmation in the very eye of the storm, a truth I desperately needed to hear and internalize. The legal proceedings were arduous, protracted, and at times, intensely hostile, but ultimately, they culminated in a resounding, definitive victory. The settlement, undeniably bolstered by the irrefutable evidence of Liam's blatant financial malfeasance and the meticulously detailed forensic audit, was overwhelmingly in my favor, ensuring my immediate and long-term financial security and, more importantly, providing a profound, irrefutable sense of undeniable justice. The Victorian brownstone home Liam and I had once shared, now irrevocably tainted by the bitter memories of his insidious betrayal, was swiftly sold, the proceeds divided according to the terms of the prenup he had so arrogantly signed. This severed the last tangible, physical link to a life that had been, in retrospect, a carefully constructed illusion. It was a definitive, liberating break, a clean, surgical cut from a toxic past, allowing fresh air to finally permeate my space. The ultimate rise, for me, wasn't about external displays of newfound wealth or public shaming, though the poetic justice of Liam's spectacular downfall was undeniably, deliciously satisfying. It was, rather, a profound internal transformation, a hard-won affirmation of self-worth that had been buried deep beneath years of unconsciously seeking external validation, of molding myself to fit others' expectations, of prioritizing a false harmony above the brutal truth of my own reality. I bought a new apartment, deliberately smaller than our old brownstone, yet filled with an abundance of natural light, the invigorating scent of fresh paint, and an overwhelming sense of quiet, hard-earned independence. I meticulously decorated it with abstract art that truly spoke to my soul, with towering bookshelves overflowing with literature that nourished my mind, with vibrant, resilient plants that thrived under my consistent, nurturing care. It was a sanctuary, a sacred space that unequivocally reflected my authentic self, unburdened by past expectations or hidden truths. My professional career, far from being derailed by the personal upheaval, flourished with unprecedented vigor. The intense focus, meticulous precision, and unwavering resilience I had honed in battling Liam's insidious deception translated seamlessly into my work, leading to groundbreaking innovative acquisition strategies and unprecedented success within my firm. I was recognized, not just for my exceptional analytical skills and strategic foresight, but for my profound resilience, my unyielding integrity, and my unwavering commitment to ethical practices, values that now shone brighter than ever before, forged in the crucible of adversity. I began actively mentoring young women in acquisitions and corporate finance, sharing not just deal insights and complex market strategies, but invaluable lessons on self-worth, on the critical importance of setting firm boundaries, and on the quiet power of trusting their own unwavering instincts, even when society, or loved ones, tell them otherwise. It was a way of giving back, of transforming my pain into profound purpose, of ensuring that other women found their voices and their strength sooner than I did. I also joyfully rediscovered old passions that had long been neglected, pushed aside by the relentless demands of a relationship built on illusion and a career pursued for external validation. I enrolled in an advanced abstract painting class, a hobby I'd always loved but had systematically pushed aside during my years of relentless corporate work and exhaustive relationship building. My hands, once accustomed to the cold precision of financial modeling, now found solace in the messy, vibrant embrace of paint on canvas, translating raw emotion into bold, tangible forms. It was a therapeutic, almost meditative practice, a direct counter to the digital world I inhabited daily. My camera became a powerful new tool, not just for capturing fleeting images, but for truly seeing the world anew, for noticing the inherent beauty in imperfection, for capturing authentic moments of profound truth that had previously eluded me. I traveled extensively, not to escape from a painful past, but to actively explore, to immerse myself fully in vibrant new cultures, to experience the boundless wonders of the world entirely on my own terms, unbound by anyone else's schedule or desires. My journey was not just about overcoming betrayal, it was about actively, purposefully building a life so profoundly rich in meaning, so overflowing with purpose, that the past, however painful, became merely a fading footnote in a larger, far more compelling and beautiful narrative of self-discovery. The quiet confidence I now possessed was a far more valuable asset than any multi-million-dollar financial portfolio. It was the unshakable knowledge that my worth was inherent, an intrinsic part of who I was, not dependent on anyone else's fleeting approval, and certainly not diminished by anyone else's calculated deceit. Liam's hastily scrawled note had brutally stated he was done. But it was in that very moment of perceived ending, in that raw, exposed vulnerability, that my true story, my authentic life, finally, magnificently, began to unfold. If this journey from betrayal to empowerment moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of unbreakable spirits. Share in the comments, have you ever had to rise above someone's cruelty? Your story could inspire others.